after Pastor Ritchie, and so I wanted to make that announcement. And then I would like for everyone to remain standing after that prayer. I have something to say. So if you would, Josh. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray together. Our Heavenly Father, we are grateful for your presence with us. We're grateful, Lord, for all the blessings that we have here. We're grateful to be able to live in such a beautiful part of the world. We are grateful for Gila County and the leadership. We pray for your blessings on our supervisors, Christensen, Humphreys, and Klein. We pray for your watch care over them. We pray that you'll give them wisdom and guidance. We pray, Lord, for all of our sheriff's office and deputies and those who work in the jails and those who work in the various offices, that you'll watch over them and provide for them, protect them, and bless them, give them wisdom. And now, Lord, we commit this time to you and ask for your wisdom and guidance and your leading. And we pray all these things in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, and thank you for remaining standing. I want to acknowledge the fact that the Gila County Assessor passed away, Joseph Williams, over the Thanksgiving weekend. And so I would like us to reflect on that and his loss, his family's loss, friends, and fellow co-workers for him. And I would also like to include in that reflective time 2 young men that were killed in Tonto Basin over the weekend, also 15-year-old in a shooting. And so there's going to be a lot of hurt there in those families as well. So if you would, we'll have a moment of silence to reflect on those things. Thank you very much. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with our public hearing 2A, information discussion action to authorize the increase of the tonnage rate for landfill fees by $18 effective January 1st, 2025, while maintaining the minimum load at the current level. Good morning, Melanie.
Good morning, Chairman Christensen, Supervisor Tim Humphrey, and Supervisor Woody Klein. First of all, I just wanted to thank you for allowing us to have this public hearing today. We've gone over a lot of things in the past work sessions and board meetings, and this is an exercise that we do on a yearly basis, and we're going to continue to do on a yearly basis to make sure that the landfills are on track. We've talked about the enterprise fund being a 60-40 split, where 60% of revenue is used for operational costs, and then the other 40% is put aside for capital projects, capital equipment, landfill expansions, and other things that need to be done in the landfill, kind of like a savings account. Again, we touched on the wake of COVID-19 and the increased cost to the expansion that we did at the Russell Gulch landfill with Cell 3A, and the need to purchase land for the Buckhead Mesa landfill expansion through the Townside Act purchase. Supervisor Christensen, or Chairman Christensen, brought up a question at the last board meeting of what would happen if we decided to get out of the landfill business. And what would happen is we'd end up with some transfer stations, because a private company wouldn't be able to come in and actually purchase that land by the Buckhead Mesa landfill to do the expansion there. And again, here in Gila County, 3% of the land is privately owned. And so that's a really great opportunity that we have out there. And this is one of the things that this fee increase is going to work towards. So we did our due diligence with the fee increase. We we put the public hearing notice in the Payson Roundup on November 15th, 2024. We also went and put it in the Silver Belt on November 20th, just as a good faith to let everybody know. We posted fee increase notices at each landfill and one at 745 North Rose Mofford Way. That way the public would have access to what those fees are going to be. The last fee increase took place in 2017, and I just found out last night that actually we increased the tonnage fees for commercial. We also increased the tonnage fees for residential, but we did not increase the tonnage fees for green waste in 2017. So the tonnage hasn't been increased for green waste since 2008. So I found that interesting as well. So the new fee schedule would increase by $18. So it would put residential waste at $62.51 per ton, commercial waste at $71.12 per ton, and green waste at $52.50 per ton. The minimum load fee would stay the same. So any resident that was taking their waste every 7 days, instead of using a waste hauler, their fees would not increase. So they would still be paying the minimum load fee of $7.50 for those minimum loads of 320 pounds, as well as the green waste minimum load fee of $5 for 280 pounds. The Board of Supervisors may determine that a lower rate with a probability of additional fee increase in the near future would be an acceptable alternative. The board item gives us 3 different options. To stay the current rate, we would need to borrow $7 million in 7 years. At $14 per ton, we would need to borrow $500,000. $16, we would have to borrow $700,000 before we were able to do any expansions. And at $18 a ton, we would not need to borrow money to expand the landfills. So pretty much that's all I have. If you have any questions.
Thank you, Melanie. Supervisor Humphrey.
I don't have any questions because most of the questions that I had have been answered as we've progressed with this. And, you know, I apologize for having to do this, but it's extremely expensive to operate the landfill and to keep it going and to do these expansions and to have money for when we close them. And like you say, a private company come in, no one can get the land. No one else has showed up to operate a landfill. So what would happen if we didn't operate a landfill? Gila County would not be a very comfortable place to live if no one had anywhere to take their trash. And so, you know, like I say, I almost feel like I need to apologize that we have to continue doing this and we have to increase the cost to do it. But it is necessary to keep us from having difficulties later in trying to close the landfill or trying to operate it as it should be operated. And so I have no questions, and I appreciate all of the work that staff has put in to the calculations and keeping us on track going forward so we're not hit with a multi-million-dollar emergency. And so I appreciate that very much. And to the constituents, like I say, I feel like I almost need to apologize for us providing this service to you and having to increase the cost. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Klein.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Melanie, thank you for putting this together. During our work session, when you presented, there was a lot of talk about different equipment and stuff like that. Now, if we bumped it up to that $18 extra a ton, this is going to go just for the land expansions, not into equipment, right?
So apologize. Supervisor, or Chairman Christensen, Supervisor Woody Klein, thank you for your question. So the enterprise fund, 60-40 split, that 40%, which in this case, with our revenue being around $2.6 million, is about $900,000 that would go into the fund balance. Even if we were to keep the equipment that we have currently, that type of equipment, this money would go towards equipment, yes. So even our equipment is outdated, it's over hours for operation. They require a lot of maintenance. And so this money would go towards purchasing new equipment, a portion of it. And so on the spreadsheet that we do every year, we've allocated $300,000 a year towards equipment. And a piece of equipment like a landfill compactor costs about $1 million. So that $300,000 is really either payments made for that piece of equipment, or we can save that money and then buy it outright in about 3.5 years. So a small portion of the increase does go towards capital equipment purchases, yes.
And so we also talked about doing the $16 a ton.
Yes.
And what you guys are still thinking is that if we went that route, we would be back in front of the board sometime for an additional raise?
Yes, it would be prior to 2033. We would need to go back to the board and ask for an additional increase. We would be negative $700,000 in 2033.
So that's if everything stays as it is right now.
Yes.
If inflation drops, things drop, maybe we wouldn't be there.
Correct.
Okay. I'm like Supervisor Humphrey. I don't like raising fees on the landfill. I really don't. Well, and our dollar dump day will stay the same,
Yes.
and the transfer station in Young will stay the same.
Yes, we are making some changes there, meaning some staffing changes, but other than that, we don't have any. There's a possibility of bringing in a scale, something like that, but other than that, no real changes up there.
Okay, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Supervisor. And thank you, Melanie, for everything. I'm one to say I support the $18 simply because it creates a future stability for those that are in the business of garbage business. They know that it's going to last for a while, that we're not going to do a little now and some more a little later and some more a little later. So it creates a little bit more stability, even though it is a leap. I have a question though, like on these minimums, like the bottom three, they're all going to stay the same. So what are the weight limits there? Just for my own knowledge, you drive up commercial, residential, and green waste, you get charged $5 or $7.50. How much weight is that up to?
So for residential, it's 320 pounds.
Okay.
For commercial, it's 280 pounds. And green waste loads would be 280 pounds.
Okay. And then we still have the dollar day, so all that stays the same. Let's see, I don't know that I really have any other questions other than I think that the increase, the reason it's this way now is because we just haven't kept up with the inflation and the increases as we probably should have in retrospect. So we're running a business. It's good that we're looking into the future and saying, look, we're going to be insolvent if we don't act soon. And so that's just my thoughts. Anyway, anything else before we call for action? Okay.
Yeah. If we went for the 16, we'd be good till 2033?
We would survive. We would need to borrow money if everything stayed the same. So we would basically be passing it off to 2033 to do a huge increase to pay off the loan that we need to acquire.
And that's about 700,000?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so, with that, I think I'll, I'm sorry?
Public hearing.
Yes. This is the part I always goof up. So anyway, I'll close our discussion there and call for comments from the public. Anyone here in Globe? Anyone in Payson? Anyone, Cassandra, on YouTube? No? Okay, that's a little surprising to me. I'll close the public hearing portion and call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to authorize the increase of the tonnage rate for landfill fees by $18 effective January 1st, 2025, while maintaining the minimum load at the current level.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you, Melanie. Regular agenda items. Item 3, I'm sorry, Maren, you can have a seat again. We're going to go a little out of order. It's been requested that we do items 3, J, K, and L. These are all Woody's items that Woody has other things that he would like to do, like feel better. So,
Well, I don't want to share.
yes, and we don't want him to share. So let's start with item 3J.
You could have been on the phone today.
Oh, it's information, discussion, action to approve intergovernmental government agreement number 10024 with the San Carlos Apache Tribe in the amount of $60,000 payable as follows. $30,000 to cover the period of January 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2025, and $30,000 to cover the period July 1, 25 through December 31, 25 to support the maintenance and public roads located within Gila County in the boundaries of the San Carlos Apache Indian Reservation. And Melanie, you have a presentation on that.
Yes, good morning again,
Good
Chairman
morning.
Christensen and supervisors. Hamiro is on vacation, and so I am
Okay.
sitting in for him. And some background information is that Gila County has been in discussions with the San Carlos Apache Tribe since 2004, trying to make this happen, and here we are today. It's the intent of Gila County to provide $60,000 to the tribe, payable $30,000 to cover the period of January 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2025, and $30,000 to cover the period of July 1st through December 2025. It's for the tribe to support maintenance of public roads located within Gila County in the boundaries of the San Carlos Apache Reservation. The IG contribution will be paid out of the county's general fund. The board may approve an IGA in order to provide funding to support maintenance of public roads located within the boundaries of San Carlos Apache Reservation. Public for funding road maintenance supports the safety and welfare of the residents living and traveling on the public roads located within Gila County in the boundaries of the San Carlos Apache Reservation. Funding for the public road maintenance supports the safety and welfare of the residents living and traveling on the public roads within the exterior boundaries of the reservation, which are within Gila County. Therefore, the Public Works Department staff recommend the Board of Supervisors approve IGA number 100224. So this is, oh, sorry. Yeah, we're definitely in support of this. We think that it benefits the residents of Gila County, not only the residents of the reservation, but other county residents that travel on those roads as well. And we're in support of this. So if you have any questions.
Thank you, Melanie. Supervisor Humphrey?
Chairman, my apologies. Can I jump in?
Absolutely. Jessica?
Yes. So the way that this agreement could work best is if we have it be an economic development grant. So I just want to make sure that the board also finds that it's for the benefit of the public.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Humphrey.
I guess I have a few questions. You know, the expense of maintaining roads anymore is just crazy. And so I guess one of my questions, and maybe you can't answer it, maybe it doesn't need to be answered, is how we came up with the 60. And if that's the limit on our economic development money or what, I was just kind of wondering, that magical number is not going to get a whole lot of road maintenance done. And it's not that I don't, you know, support it. I'm just wondering that that's not going to benefit roads a whole lot, in my opinion, with the cost of repairing roads, although every little bit helps. And then, I guess my other question is, you know, how, who or how are we going to know, how or where this money's spent? And that it is going to be, in charge of San Carlos. And like I say, I'm in support of it, but those are the two questions I have, and maybe there's answers or no answers. And either way is fine. That's just questions that seemed to go across my mind when we were going over this.
Um, Chairman Christensen, and thank you for your question, Supervisor Tim Humphrey. Within the IGA, there is a reporting period. So for the payment period, January 1st, 25 through June 30, 2025, there's a reporting stipulation where they're required to give us their accounting, what they did on which roads and how they used that funding. I wasn't there during the negotiations of the actual dollar amount, and someone else may be able to answer that question, but this comes from a request from the San Carlos Apache tribe. And so I'm thinking that $60,000 is what they feel
Is
is
what they
appropriate
requested. Okay.
to maintain the areas that they need to maintain.
Okay, yeah, no, that's fine. I just, if that's what they requested, then that's good.
So I can speak to this quite a bit, but there was a lot of back and forth on the roads, where the roads were.
Right.
And like Melanie said, there is a list that's put together and the reporting process is there. And so, you know, looking at that, talking with them, that's kind of where we came up with the $60,000,
Okay, yeah, no, that's good.
you know.
Just questions that came up, and like I say, I do support it, and I was just kind of, those were questions that I had. So thank you, Melanie and Supervisor Klein, and Chairman, I'm done.
Thank you. Supervisor Klein, any more?
No, I just want to thank Jessica and her department for helping us with this. It's been a long road. We've been working on this since I got in office, and so it's been a long time coming. And I, you know, this is something we can start with and see and go from there how it works. And so,
Chairman.
Yes.
My apologies. For audit purposes, there are certain clauses that we did not include for the economic development grant. So if we could please make the motion with the caveat that there will be an amendment to this IGA, I will get that over to Kathy today for the tribe signature.
Thank you, Jessica. So I have just a couple of things. I have no doubt that the money can be well used. And I presume that these are roadways that tourists and a lot of people from Gila County off of the reservation will use to go to the various things they want to go and see. I'm assuming that's what it's for. And I do agree that probably won't go very far. So one thing, though, that I would like to suggest, and that is that the money not come out of the general fund, but come out of the lottery fund, if that's possible. I think that that would be a little easier to swallow for the taxpayers of Gila County, that the money is coming from there rather than the general fund. I just think that that would be helpful.
One thing too, in the middle of all this, Mr. Chair, is that they are using their own equipment.
Okay,
So that's where we can have a little bit better benefit on the price. They're not
Okay.
having to rent it.
so this money would generally be used for material and wages and cost of doing the road. Okay? So that's the only question. So we have a lot of caveats to it. I will call for a motion. We need to include benefit for the public. We need to include an amendment to make some of the changes that we have discussed, including where the money comes from. Okay?
Okay?
Sound okay, Jessica? Okay. All right, so we're going to give Woody the chance to do it right the first time.
And I'll probably mess,
And if he messes it up, we'll get some more instruction. I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve the intergovernmental agreement number 100224 with the San Carlos Apache Tribe in the amount of 60,000 as presented, that has been determined to be for the benefit of economic development. And what was the other one?
Will be an amendment.
With the condition that there will be an amendment.
And it's for the benefit of the public.
Yes.
Yeah, I got it.
Already got all that in? We good to go? All right. We have a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. And item number K is information, discussion, action to approve economic development agreement number 100424 between Gila County, Horizon Health and Wellness in the amount of $1,000, which the board has determined to be for the benefit of the public. Mr. Klein.
And so this is economic development that we've been participating in every year. It's for a good cause. They actually support about 600 kids in underprivileged families. And so they've been able to take this and help through the holidays and whatever. And so I just want to carry it on and go again this holiday.
Supervisor Humphrey?
Haven't I split this with you in the past?
Yeah, you want to?
Okay, so I did help on this one as well? Yeah, because it seemed like we'd been partnering on this one since we've been in office. to
Right.
help them. And so, yeah, if I did partner in this, then, yeah,
Thank you.
I was just checking to be sure that they were covered with their needs. And so, anyway, that's all, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. And okay, with that, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve Economic Development Agreement Number 100424 with Horizon Health and Wellness, which the board has determined to be for the benefit of the public.
And I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. And item L, information, discussion, action to approve intergovernmental agreement number 100324 between Gila County and Christopher Coles Fire District in the amount of $10,000, which the board has determined to be for the benefit of the public. Pleasure.
And thank you, Mr. Chair. And this goes back to the day that we helped them with drilling a well.
Okay.
They did get water, not a lot of water, but their next step is to actually put some restroom facilities in that building. And they use it a lot for staging government engines and firefighters as well. So this 10,000 won't do it, but they're planning on fundraisers and using it as leverage for some other grant monies to put it in there. That I take any more questions.
Okay, Supervisor.
And this is constituent money.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I have no questions, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, I have no questions, other than I was also a partner before.
you want to partner on this?
I would like to, if that's not too much trouble. So let's,
We're getting nods.
yeah, okay. So let's do that. And with that, I'll call for motion.
Thank you, Supervisor Christensen. I'll make the motion to approve Economic Development Agreement Number 100324 with Christopher Coles Fire District, which the board has determined to be for the benefit of the public.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Supervisor Klein, are you
I'm gonna leave it to you guys.
okay? And
Thank you for
very,
allowing me to do that.
we wish you well.
Yep.
We'll see you
Back on the 17th.
17th, and so we'll continue with our meeting. We still have a quorum. Item 3A, information, discussion, action, authorize the Gila County Finance Department to disperse State of Arizona deputy and detention retention funds to eligible Gila County Sheriff's Office employees in the amount of $5,000 before taxes, as defined by Arizona Department of Administration Agreement Number DBFFY23L22CH31304 with Gila County. Good morning, Marin.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Supervisor Humphrey. We had funds left over after we dispersed all of the allocated funds for eligible line level staff. And this is a plan that the Sheriff's Department, including Sheriff Shepherd, have come up with in order to disperse additional funds. With your approval, this will be included in Friday's paycheck for these eligible individuals.
Okay, thank you, Marin. Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, I guess, and so the department will determine on how the $5,000 is dispersed amongst the employees? Or will it just be split evenly, or?
There's a list attached to the agenda item, and it was based on recruitment date. And it's $5,000 each before taxes, for a total of $70,000 for eligible individuals.
Okay,
And we've
thank you.
already received the money from the state under this agreement.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I have no questions, and with that, I'll call for motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to authorize the Gila County Finance Department to disperse State of Arizona deputy and detention retention funds to eligible Gila County Sheriff's Office employees in the amount of $5,000 before taxes.
And I will second that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Marin.
Thank you, Mr.
Item
Chair.
3B, information, discussion, action to review the submitted bids for request for proposal number 061324, financial consultant services, and award a contract to the lowest, most responsive, most responsible, and qualified bidder. Marin.
Good morning again, Mr. Chair, Supervisor Humphrey. At our last work session, we mentioned that we would be bringing this today. These particular financial consultant services are for an evaluation of all the fees that the county's departments currently charge countywide to ensure that we are charging equitable fees, fees that are allowed by statute, and fees that reflect accurately the cost of doing business for each department and the services rendered. We received 2 qualified and responsive bids from MGT and from Baker Tilly, and the MGT amount is about a third of the amount from Baker Tilly. We do have experience with both firms. MGT recently finished our cost allocation plan, and the department would request that MGT be awarded the contract, and they would, in their proposal, they propose completing the work within 5 months.
Thank you, Marin. Supervisor Humphrey.
No question.
Well, Marin, I can see what you've done here. So just to be clear, we're going to spend some money to see whether or not we're charging the appropriate amount with all of our fees, permits, and all of those things.
Correct. And then we'll bring a report back to the board
Okay.
that will show you how that shook out. And then we'll also give the board the opportunity to consider fee schedule amendments as determined to be necessary.
Okay. And you feel that this task is insurmountable for our current employees to conduct?
In order for this type of study to be certified as being a valid place to get your fee structure from, we should use an external CPA firm, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Supervisor Humphrey, would you prefer to have us alternate on making motions?
Mr. Chair, I can do it, or we can alternate it.
Okay, please go ahead if you'd like to make a motion.
I move to award a contract to MGT Impact Solutions LLC in the amount of $99,000 in responsive request for proposals number 061324.
And I will second that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Maren.
Thank you.
And we'll go to item 3C, information, discussion, action to approve the settlement agreement and accept the related quitclaim deed and conveyance of real property with Gila House Incorporated. Josh Beck.
Good morning, Chairman, Supervisor Humphrey. So in 2020, during COVID, there was discretionary funds through the Department of Housing that we did a pass-through with Gila House to renovate the Willow Motel. They took the money and purchased the Willow Motel. We received an additional grant to do the renovations. There were issues with the landfill fees and stuff, underestimating and not enough communication on how that would work, and the lead and asbestos in the property, which made doing what Gila House had originally proposed a little bit more expensive than it was going to be. Instead, we took the second set of funding and they actually worked and purchased a property on Maple Street, and we accomplished the goals that we needed with a different set of funding on Maple Street. Here we are in 2024. The original property that was purchased as a pass-through with Gila County funding to Gila House hasn't had anything accomplished with it. Most of our grants that we do with the state with DES and ADOH, usually if you haven't spent money for 6 months, it kind of kicks in some of the clauses in the contract. Obviously, they've been really willing to work with us to do something with this funds, but we decided at this point what we need to do was to kind of try to close this grant out for the state and for Gila County. So we worked with Gila House and County Attorney's Office, and we decided the best way to do this was to first relieve them from any financial liability or anything, and to do the quitclaim deed to assign the property back to the county. And that's what this action is for, is to get this property back in the county's hands so that I can continue to work with Department of Economic Security to try to find something that we can do with the property that would somewhat match the original intent of the grant. My plans are to do the next step, if this is approved, to work with the City of Globe. Since the property is in the City of Globe, I have a meeting scheduled with Linda Neto, and we'll probably work with Mr. Jepson and try to see if there's something we can do with that property. It's lots of ideas, whether it be a park or working with a contractor that wanted to purchase the property to do some kind of low-income housing or something we can do. I can say in my conversations with the Department of Economic Security, this has actually been with the director's office there, they've been pretty willing to work with us to resolve this in whatever kind of way that we can all agree on. So, and this is like the first step to kind of clear up the mess that was left behind and try to do something good with the property that we have. I know that, one of the things we're working with is Supervisor Humphrey and with that blight fund that you have the county has, and possibly doing that to clean up the property. So there are a lot of different ideas on the table. I'll be able to move forward more with those if this is approved and we can take care of that first step.
Okay, great. Thank you. Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, I just want to say, thanks for working with the City of Globe, because that is a piece of property that we got our hands tied with on what we can do with it. And so working with the City of Globe can perhaps help them and us both. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Joshua. With that, I will call for a motion.
I move to approve the settlement agreement and accept the related quitclaim deed and convey the real property with Gila House Incorporated.
I will second that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Joshua. We're on to item 3D, information, discussion, action. To ratify the Board of Supervisors' approval for the submittal of a 12D fund request application to the Apache Gold Casino for San Carlos Apache Tribe Enterprise Fund 12D funding to expand the oral health program and accept the grant award in the amount of $12,274.97 for the period of November 1st, 2024 through November 1st, 2025. Josh.
Good morning again, Supervisor, Chairman. So since 2022, we've really been pushing oral health in the public health department to kind of make up for some of the areas that we don't have providers. So We're not trying to take any work, we're kind of trying to bridge those gaps of where we don't have service or there's service issues right now. With our maternal and child health grants that we get from the Department of Health Services, we can help out a lot of people that are on access. But when we're in the schools and we're helping the children that are on access, we don't have any funding from the state or anyone else that covers the children that don't have insurance or that aren't on access, and even getting into schools to work with people and referring them that have health and have dental insurance. So we've been looking for, and I've presented before, we're doing what we can to look for different small grants and stuff so that when we go into schools, we can do fluoride treatments, the little fillings on the back of the teeth, or just a dental checkup to see if we need to refer anyone. And these little pots of money allow us to go in and work with all the students when we go to the schools and not just the students have access. So we saw this application. It was something actually I think that the tribe reached out to us and thought it would be a good fit. So we applied at the last minute. They gave us the award and we went to a nice banquet for it. They've been really good about working with us on this, and it's just a good grant to make sure that the services we're already doing to supplement what we're already doing to reach more population when we're in the schools.
Very good. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions.
I have no questions. I'll call for a motion.
I move to ratify the Board of Supervisors' approval for the submittal of a 12D fund request application to the Apache Gold Casino for the San Carlos Apache Tribe Enterprise Fund 12D funding program and accept the subsequent grant award as presented.
Thank you, and I will second that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Josh. Item 3E, information discussion action to approve funding agreement number 226-24 between the Arizona Department of Housing and Gila County Public Health and Community Services Department, Housing Services Weatherization Program to use low-income home energy assistance program funding in the amount of $382,997 to be expanded by June 30th, 2025.
So we receive our weatherization assistance for low-income individuals through two pots of money. This is one of them. It actually comes in through the Department of Economic Security and gets divvied out, and Department of Housing receives some of that money as well. So this is the portion of the money that comes from the Department of Housing. This grant money actually goes back to July 1st. We've been a little slow on getting this process in motion this year with the state, so this is to cover this fiscal year. For the board remembers, we already have our contract in place. We put in place, I believe, in August with the Advantage Home Builders out of Chandler. This is the one that we've talked about in work session before. So we have a Chandler company that's currently doing the work. We did a 6-month extension on their current contract to do this work while we work on other ways of trying to get other vendors on board. Supervisor Humphreys helped us with Gila Monster Construction that's looking to do some of the roofing projects. And that's what, so this is the funding that funds that project, and we are still working on ways to come up with better solutions. There's a lot of money out there in this area, and if we can come up with local vendors, again, that shot to anybody that can help us out, local vendors or anything that we can do in this area to keep the price down for what we do and be able to serve more homes and keep the money local. That's the issue we have, is just trying to get vendors in this area. And there's, like I said, a lot of money that we can get, so we'll keep working on it.
Okay, thanks. Supervisor Humphrey.
Thanks for continuing to work on it. It's a difficult deal, and maybe some young entrepreneurs will be interested in helping you with spend some of that money and get certified to be able to do some of this work.
Yes, thank you, Josh. I really don't have any questions on that, so with that, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve Arizona Department of Housing Funding Agreement number 226-24 as presented.
And I will second that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Josh. We got one more for you. Information discussion action to approve amendment number 1 to funding agreement number 226-24 between the Arizona Department of Housing and the, make sure I'm on the right one here. It sounds a lot like the last one. Gila Public Health and Community Services Department Housing Services, adding $54,653 of LIHEAP funding for a new total of $263,556 in LIHEAP funding, and increasing the total contract number to $437,650.
Thank you, Supervisor Chairman. So this is again, it's the same weatherization program, same funding. We use it for the exact same things as before. A small percentage of the money, which is this part, goes to the Department of Housing. Part of that's because some of it's the energy providers, I know SRP donates to these funds. So we get different funding pots, and to keep those separate, we have 2 different grants for this, all with the same deliverables. This is that second smaller part that comes from Department of Housing, which is used in the same way, just making sure that we can track both of them and the deliverables specifically for each pot of money.
Thank you, Josh. Supervisor Humphrey.
Just one question, trying to encourage young entrepreneurs that may be able to help you with some of this funding. Is there any training money to help some of these people that may want to get into the construction business?
Yes, so if they have a company, my understanding from Lisa, the finance person over there, is like the 1 week WAP class, weatherization program class that they have to take, can be funded by the program. If there was a vendor, then they already had the skill set that they needed, that it would pay for them to get that training. Like I said, again, the biggest issue most people have is, do they have the skills already to go to the WAP class and take that training? And then can they pass and get the fingerprint clearance card for them and the workers that would be doing the work in the different buildings in the different areas, electrical, plumbing,
Right.
HVAC, whatever those issues are. So
Right.
if they have those 2 things, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of help to get them to the point we need them to be. We just need the person to present itself that has the skill set and the background to meet the qualifications.
Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. I have no questions. I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve amendment number 1 to Arizona Department of Housing Funding Agreement number 226-24 as presented.
I will second that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Josh. Item 3G, information discussion action to approve amendment number 2 to contract number CTR 061839-EZ with Skyline Builders and Restoration Incorporated for the Sheriff's Squadron Patrol Room Renovation Project to extend the term of the contract to June 30th, 2025. Good morning, Joseph.
Good morning, Chairman, Board of Supervisors. This request seeks approval to extend the contract term to June 30th, 2025 for the Sheriff's Squadron Patrol Room renovation. The original contract approved in January 2024 was for $32,505.40. In June 2024, the board approved amendment number 1, increasing the contract amount to $81,593.46. The second amendment is necessary to provide sufficient time to complete the project. The project is tentatively scheduled to begin on January 6th, 2025, and be completed by March. The scope of work includes drywall repairs, electrical, lighting upgrades, office space creation, new flooring, ceiling grid installation to improve the functionality and the efficiency of the Payson Sheriff's Patrol Room. With that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Joseph. Supervisor Humphrey.
No question.
I have no questions either. So with that, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve amendment number 2 to contract number CTR 061839-EZ with Skyline Builders and Restoration Incorporated as presented.
I will second that. And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Joseph.
Thank you.
And item 3H is the information discussion action to adopt resolution number 24-12-01, which authorizes the installation of regulatory signage at the intersection of North Mistletoe Drive and Whispering Pines Road, located in Pine in Gila County. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning, Chairman, Supervisor Humphrey. Pretty straightforward here. It's a adoption of a resolution number 241201. So the regulatory sign that we're discussing is a new stop sign. Currently, Whispering Pine Road is the main thoroughfare into the residential section on the east side of Pine. And right now, Mistletoe tees off of that road. With all the development that is going on in Pine, everything east of Whispering Pines Road is now starting to be developed, and there's a road coming off of there, but no signage right now. So after reviewing it, it was determined that a stop sign would be the safest regulatory sign to allow the public to access Whispering Pines Road to egress from that new development. I'm happy to take any questions you guys have.
Okay, thank you, Alex. Supervisor Humphrey.
No questions.
So how come we're not doing the stop sign on the other direction of Mississauga?
Because as it was already a three-way, there is already a stop sign on the other side.
Oh, it
of
was,
Mississauga.
okay. All right, that's all I have then. Let's call for motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt resolution number 24-12-01.
And I will second that. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
All right, we're on to item 3I, information, discussion, action to review the bids submitted for invitation for bid number 082824, Buckhead Mesa Landfill Center Pond Interim Leachate Piping Project, and award a contract to the lowest, most responsive, responsible, and qualified bidder. Melanie.
Hello, again, Chairman Christensen and Supervisor Tim Humphrey. So this is a request to award a contract in response to the invitation for bid 082824 for the Buckhead Mesa Landfill Center Pond Interim Leachate Project. So on September 17th, 2024, the board approved an invitation for bid for the Buckhead Mesa Pond Interim Leachate Piping Project. The IFB was advertised in the Payson Roundup newspaper on September 24th, and then again on October 1st, 2024. The bids were due on October 17th, and we got 3 responses. The county received approval from the ADEQ, the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality, to construct a lateral expansion of the facility's landfill. Several expansions have been added to the footprint of the landfill, and during the last phase in 2018, the leachate piping was to be routed to the 2 other ponds and the center pond removed. So sealed bids for this project were accepted at Gila County Finance at 3 p.m. on October 17th. There was 3 competitive bids that were received. The bids were opened on October 17th and evaluated by ARS 412533 through competitive bidding. Standard Construction Company, Inc. met all specifications and offered the low bid price. The recommendation of the Public Works Department Director is to award the contract to Standard Construction Company, Inc. in the amount of $60,000.
Thank you, Melanie. Supervisor Humphrey?
No questions.
I have no questions. So with that, I'll call for motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to award a contract to Standard Construction Company Incorporated in the amount of $60,000 in response to invitation for bids number 082824.
And I will second that motion. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Melanie.
Thank you.
All right, we've already addressed item 3J, K, and L. So item 3M is information, discussion, action to approve economic development agreement number 100620024 between Gila County and the City of Globe, the amount of $1,000 to support the annual bike rodeo, which the board has determined to be for the benefit of the public. Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, the City of Globe came to me and they do a bike rodeo. And, their first question was, do we still do bikes? I told them, no, we don't do bikes anymore. So they're doing the bike rodeo. And so they asked if I could help them with helmets for their bike rodeo participants. And so anyway, I worked with them. And so that's what this is to help the City of Globe for their bike rodeo. And if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Supervisor. Sounds like a good thing. So I have really no questions. Call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve Economic Development Agreement number 100620024 with the City of Globe, which the board has determined to be for the benefit of the public.
I will second that motion. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Very good. And also, then we also have item 3N, information, discussion, action to approve economic development agreement number 100520024 between Gila County and Miami Genesis in the amount of $3,000 to support the small town Christmas event to be held on December 21st, 2024, which the board has determined to be for the benefit of the public. Once again, Supervisor Humphrey.
Yes, this is, every year the town of Miami does a Christmas, special Christmas, and so they asked me to help them with that Christmas, and this isn't for like decorations and stuff. A lot of this is to help them, because they do give gifts, and I think everyone that came through that last year, they gave them a book and things of this nature. So a lot of this is for gifts for the public, for the kids, to that participate in the small town Christmas.
Very good. Thank you for doing that, Supervisor. I have no questions. With that, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve Economic Development Agreement number 100-52024 with Miami Genesis, which the board has determined to be for the benefit of the public.
I will second that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you for that. On to our consent agenda items. Item 4, we have consent agenda items 4A through 4E. Supervisor Humphrey, would you like to have one or more removed for further discussion and voting?
Mr. Chair, I'm good.
I'll call for a motion to approve the consent agenda action items 4A through 4E.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve consent agenda items 4A through 4E.
I will second that. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Very good. Call to the public. Is there anyone here in Globe that would like to speak before the board? No. In Payson? I don't see anyone. Thank you, Lisa. And Cassandra, anyone? No? How many did we have today? 30. Very good. All right, so then I'll move on to item number 6, which is our reports. And we'll start with Manager Menlove.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Humphrey, thank you for a moment. I do have a number of items to cover here today. Begin with yesterday that I participated in interviews for the Workforce Investment and Opportunity Act Executive Director position. That is, of course, a program that provides training to adults and youth. And there's training dollars to help individuals to become employable. They provide such training as writing resumes and everything, perhaps including buying clothing for individuals. It's a federal grant program administered by Navajo County. During the interviews with representatives from Apache County and myself and Navajo County, expressed that, one, we need to make sure that we have more improved communication with Gila County and the Board of Supervisors and the public. It's a great story. Great things can happen. We have a very active person that is the business service manager that works with the businesses and trying to find spots for potential employees, that we make sure that we have communication with the Board of Supervisors and the public in telling the story of what's going on with that. And then also in years past, they had, due to certain challenges, not used all the dollars, and expressed that it is imperative that we have an executive director that knows the program sufficiently to invest all the dollars that we have available into our communities here in Gila County. So we will see where that goes, but did participate in those interviews for an executive director for that program. This Thursday will participate in the Arizona County's Insurance Pool Executive Board. That there's so many things on this agenda right at Christmas time that it's a schedule for a 7-hour meeting on Thursday. Brutal, yeah. But we'll participate in that county's insurance pool board on Thursday, and then Friday, county managers meeting at 10 a.m. down in Phoenix as well. Wanted to let you know that on December 11th, Gila County kind of swapping and was requested by Craig Sullivan to host this month's Small Counties meeting. So we will be hosting the Small Counties meeting on December 11th, Wednesday, December 11th. That's about 5:30 in the evening. And so look forward to hopefully the board can attend that as we host that. And then on the 12th will be the CSA Board of Directors meeting. And they typically have a little bit nicer meeting and things because it is the holiday meeting. And look forward to that. Wanted to also just make you aware that I'm planning to take some time off the week of the 23rd through January 3rd. Around the holidays, it seems to slow down and a little bit quieter. So we'll take some time off. Mr. O'Driscoll will be here and he will be in charge during that time that I'm planning to be off. And I'm going to say also Sherry's going to be out from the 16th through a large part of that time. So we're going to have both of us gone for a period of time during that, right here at the holidays. Also wanted to report that we will be working with departments and elected offices that for the 2% salary adjustment that was included in the budget, again, plan to do the same thing where departments can have some flexibility to bring things that there's some, perhaps some inequities, and also using that for merit bonus increases that are tied to performance evaluations. I did want to report that the elected officials, that we will be holding a swearing-in ceremony at 8:30 on January 7th. So all elected officials will be invited to come participate in that. Judge Wright has agreed to do that swearing-in at that time. And we'll note that as employees are getting a salary adjustment, that elected officials beginning January 1st will be receiving a salary adjustment. We'll note that is the first salary adjustment in 20 years. And so it is well due, because the salary adjustment that elected officials are receiving for all counties, all county officials throughout Arizona, is not even keeping up with inflation. So I'm glad that the state legislature, elected official salaries are set by the state legislature, and I'm excited that they addressed this to an extent. So I am glad for that, and look forward to our elected officials having a salary adjustment that they is, like I said, well deserved. Mr. Chairman, that is my report, unless there are any questions.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Manlove. Supervisor Humphrey.
I'll hold the Tonto Basin Community Meeting this evening at 5. I'll hold the Gila Community Meeting on the 7th at 9. I'll hold a Roosevelt Community Meeting on the 9th at 1. And I'll be on KQSS radio on the 9th at 5:30. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Supervisor. I was speaking with Cole Labonte with the Sheriff's Department. They've already started to address the abandoned trailers that are in the forest in and around the north part of Gila County. And so that process is starting. That's going to be a good thing. I will be attending the December 11th small county meeting, and also on the 12th. And I think we have one more meeting this year, which will be 2 weeks from today. So look forward to doing that, wrapping things up. And so really, other than I have a few radio appearances coming up and things like that, it's kind of slowing down quite a bit right now. So I appreciate everyone's input today. It's been a good meeting. I really appreciate it. And so with that, I'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you.